while it invites people from all over, this is really a celebration of Louisiana and Southwest Louisiana's unique cuisine, our culture. They're showcasing local ingredients, things sourced right here in our own backyards, and iconic dishes to Louisiana.
Thanks for joining us on Louisiana's Playground Podcast, your roadmap to all things Lake Charles, Louisiana. I'm Brady Reynard.
And I'm Jillian Corder. We're excited to bring you the authentic stories and experiences of Southwest Louisiana with all the tools that you need to build your own personal Lake Charles itinerary.
This episode's about building your own personal food and wine itinerary.
That's right.
Food and Wine Festival.
We pretty much got it all planned out for you.
For sure. Episode 51, welcome to the show. Of course, if I didn't already give it away there, we are talking about Louisiana Food and Wine, specifically kind of the pro tips for how to enjoy it to the absolute maximum after having the inaugural event last year. Really hoping to kind of double down and make it twice as good coming up this year. And in fact, this episode is going to be a little different. No interview this episode, so it's just going to be a lot of Jillian and Brady that you're going to have to sit through.
Apologies in advance.
Yes, but before we get to that, as we always do, it's time for On the Eats.
This week, we head over to Maplewood Burgers, an excellent spot. We hit up their Lake Charles location, but they conveniently serve all areas of Southwest Louisiana. They've got a Lake Charles spot, the original Sulphur location, and one in Moss Bluff as well.
Yeah, that's in fact how they got the name Maplewood Burgers is because they have a business on Maplewood Drive. Back in 2011 is when it first opened, and it's really cool to see the advancement of their business since then, because you and I went to the original location before there were any others in 2015 when we moved here. This was one of the first places people told us to go.
That's right. And it's called Maplewood Discount over in Sulphur. And it's actually a little convenience store, and food was just part of that, right? It was just like you're getting a little extra in food. And then they realized how good their food was, and people convinced them that, hey, you need to expand on this.
Well, and their parents had bounced around from different they had started like the hospitality business. They moved at one point, I believe, possibly selling cars. And then they kind of settled on the convenience store and found their niche from there. And now it's operated by their children. The Patel brothers now run it, and their wives have really picked up the torch. And I think the thing that stands up to them is twofold. Number one, their passion is apparent.
That's right.
There's a ton of it, because I think both brothers feel like they are operating in the memory of the work that their parents put in. Their parents are still there and around,
it's all a
but
tribute.
They're retired. But it's a tribute. And then number two, they are not afraid of change. They're not afraid of something new, whether it's adding new items to the menu, changing locations. So much of that is apparent in the way that they've progressed as a business. And so it's really cool to see. And in fact, as you would recognize from the name burgers, stuffed burgers are really their selling point. That's what they're known for. They've got a handful of stuffed burgers, things like a giant jalapeno in the middle of it, to things like brisket and mac and cheese, to Italian sausage, to crawfish. And they're kind of mixing it up here and there. So they're not afraid to change that either.
No, they're not afraid to listen to their customers. They do that so well. I mean, when they were first starting out with their Lake Charles location, Brady and I were frequent customers there. And whenever we'd go in, say Patel would be there, and he'd say, okay, try this, and let us sample something that he wanted. Still does that. Whenever he wanted to put something on the menu. And I think that's really important, is a business that maybe knows what they're good at. He knows the stuffed burger realm. He understands it. He gets it. And it's unique to his restaurant around here. But he also isn't afraid to listen to critique, or, hey, why don't you add this? He experiments with food. And I just think that's so important to keep your business alive.
And he's also focused on improving things step by step. Like, for example, now they wanted to focus on being as fresh as possible. And now, as he's told me, the only thing frozen in their entire store is their ice cream.
That's right.
And their milkshakes, their Bluebell ice cream. And so that's really was a focal point. Now, stuffed burgers, they've got breakfast as well. They do like chicken sandwiches, which are really, really good. I didn't get it on this trip, but I do really like their chicken sandwiches, and wings.
Yep.
And really their brand staple, believe it or not, though, is their kick sauce. Yeah. It's a hot sauce that comes with their food. I put it on everything that they have. They use heavy in their breakfast, and it
Mhm.
really helps that stand out as well. It's tangy with a kick. That's how he would describe it.
Yeah.
And it really goes on everything. They even have a couple of different variations, like kicking ranch. They mix it with their
Mhm.
ranch if you don't want the heat but want the flavor.
Yeah.
And it's a mayo-based sauce, which shocks me because
You like it.
I like it. Because I love it, and I don't care for mayo. So that tells you how
good it must be.
Yeah, and how consistent it is. So good. Let's talk food. What'd you get?
Okay, I got the stuffed barbecue brisket hamburger. It's kind of my go-to. It's just absolutely delicious, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It is an Angus beef patty stuffed with tender barbecue brisket. It's got pepper jack cheese on it. It's topped with barbecue sauce, grilled onions, and you can get seasoned fries or homemade onion rings. I, of course, opt for the seasoned fries. I actually got the loaded fries this time around, so it's got bacon on top and cheese, and it's so good. One of the reasons why I'm branching off here, sorry. One of the reasons why the fries are so good, the loaded fries, because sometimes when you order something like that, it can get a little soggy quickly.
Mm-hmm.
The fries, covered in cheese and whatever else can just absorb that too much almost. But these fries stand alone on their own. They're those really crispy French fries, like big, thick cuts. Those have a name, but I don't know what it is.
It's a standard cut, natural cut.
Sure. It's just like a big, thick French fry, and it holds its shape and its texture, even though it's covered in cheese and bacon. It is delicious. The burger itself, always good. You can tell that this meat is not frozen. You can tell that it's not some like pre-made patty. No offense to anywhere where I frequent too, with pre-made patties and that kind of thing. But this is like that real hamburger. Like you're going to somebody's house to get a real fresh burger. It's a big, thick burger, and the barbecue brisket inside it is absolutely tender. It melts in your mouth. It's really, really good.
And it really plays off each other. I find the brisket and the burger and the Angus beef.
Yeah,
it does a nice little two-step. A little.
It does, and this burger's huge. Okay, so all of their stuffed burgers are big. They will fill you up. In fact, I split mine and either have a second meal or share it with somebody, because just half of the barbecue brisket stuffed burger is enough for me with some French fries. It's really, really good. And the barbecue sauce, I don't know what their secret is, but it's that perfect tangy meets sweet meets savory. It's not too much.
Sure.
You can overly sweeten a barbecue sauce, and this isn't that. It's got a nice little sweetness to it, but it really complements that burger so incredibly well.
And
What'd you get?
Yeah, I usually get the stuffed brisket burger, but this time I went stuffed mac and cheese, which is probably my second favorite on the menu. Chicken sandwiches are also really good too. It's got that Angus beef patty as well. They stuff it though with a really good mac and cheese in the middle. And then they top it with American cheese and the outside with a little extra nacho cheese. So it's super, super cheesy.
In case you needed
burger,
3 types
right?
of cheeses.
And then they'll add grilled onions there as well for you. So obviously super cheesy and meaty, which is the first thing that stands up. And you would think that it's just a mess, right? Like if I tell you, hey, there's cheese on the outside and there's a lot of cheese and then there's mac and cheese, and you would just think, oh, this is just slop. But it holds together really, really well, which I think is a testament to, like, my hand isn't full of cheese when I'm eating it. So I think that is such a high compliment for the way that the burger is actually constructed. You have to get the kick sauce, though. I talked about it earlier. For me, it's a very thick sauce. It has a little sweetness to it, a little slight vinegar, not very much. It's just I've never really had a ton of sauces that taste like their kick sauce. It's got a ton of ingredients to it, and it harmoniously blends together. But man, it just really elevates everything that it touches. I have no other way to say it. Not that the things need elevating, but the sauce itself is...
There's a reason why it's so popular.
Yes, and it just is perfect on the fries, on the burger. I get actually 2 when I order. I get 2 cups. So I have one for my burger and one for my fries. Just so good. And the fries themselves are so crispy, and they have that soft interior, but the burger is just awesome. Like, I have no other way to say it. Like, you can get the sourdough bread. It's really good. Yes. It's very popular. I've had it on the Texas toast. Very, very good. I've had it. I now kind of like that classic bun recently I've been getting. I really like that a lot too. So it's all very, very good. And in fact, I'm told that at one point in the near future, they want to start baking their bread in-house too.
Oh,
So
goodness.
we'll see if they get to that point.
There's always
That's a
some new
goal.
adventure there.
They always have that goal that they reach for. And
Mhm.
so that's the next one that I'm told that they're kind of reaching for. So, but as you mentioned, 3 really convenient locations.
Yep.
Nelson Road in Lake Charles, your Maplewood Drive in Sulphur, and then that main stretch there in Moss Bluff. All easy to get to no matter kind of where you are in Southwest Louisiana, and definitely worth a trip, whether it be for their burgers, a chicken sandwich, or even their milkshake stations that they have. Very, very good. And in fact, keep an eye out for them during Chuck Eats. They typically have really, really impressive specials.
Always a consistent restaurant to go to. And you don't want to miss out on Maplewood Burgers because they just don't miss.
From a great meal to a great conversation, changing it up a little bit this week as we talk the Louisiana Food and Wine Festival. Do you think we can ask the Food and Wine Festival, would they prefer crawfish or gumbo? Would they, do they like the beach or the pool?
I think they might be able to answer the second question. I think crawfish or gumbo might be a tough one since you can get a little bit of everything at the Food and Wine Festival. We had so much fun last year.
We did. I agree. And so we wanted to take this opportunity, this show, back-to-back episodes, funny enough, with a different format a little bit. But we wanted to really give you some pro tips after we attended it last year, the inaugural event. So now we come back with a little bit more info about how you can really enjoy it. And then some things that are actually changing from last year, obviously all for the better, and have you prepared for the event coming up because it is a whole lot of fun.
Yeah. And we're not just talking about how women should not wear heels, but opt for wedges or flats. But that is important too. Just saying. But because it's so expansive, there's just absolutely everything that you could imagine that could possibly fall under the category of food or wine at this one event. And people from all over. You're not just highlighting what Lake Charles has to offer, which so many of our events do so well, but the entire state and some out-of-state businesses that are here that are coming in to showcase what they've got to offer.
And it's coming up at the end of September 19th through 22nd. And before we dive into the specifics, let's do a kind of a recap of the key highlights, really, of what the festival stands for. And I think you can really break them off into like 4 pillars, if you will, right? So the diverse experiences, I think, is really the number one thing you look at. There's different events. You have intimate dinners to large-scale tastings, and it really caters to different preferences from start to finish. Like the one thing that really attracted us last year was their main event on that Saturday, which was like a grand tasting. You got to taste a bunch of stuff, whether it be actual drinks or food. There's some artisans there, and so that's a lot of fun. We'll dive into that. But the different experiences, every event feels drastically different than the next is really the first pillar.
Sure. And then, of course, it's Louisiana focused, right? It celebrates, like I said, while it invites people from all over, this is really a celebration of Louisiana and Southwest Louisiana's unique cuisine, our culture. They're showcasing local ingredients, things sourced right here in our own backyards, and iconic dishes to Louisiana.
It's also similar to, because of where it's hosted here in Lake Charles, we do pull some Texas, right? So some food influences from Houston come over. Last year, they had the award-winning chef Benchawan Painter from Houston, and she actually won the entire event on that Saturday, the kind of the cook-off event. And so there is, like you said, a really nice mix that is, at the end of the day, though, Louisiana focus. Speaking of those chefs, there are celebrity chefs and winemakers, and then you have the opportunity to really learn and interact from them, whether it be the classes, which are a lot of fun and really cool to get that one-on-one, or maybe seeing them on the stage, or really getting to go by their booth and then talking to them, as I did with Miss Painter last year. And it is really, really cool to kind of get that and maybe say, why did you guys put this in there? Sure. What is unique about the way you made this? And they are obviously so passionate about food. They'll talk your ear off about it.
Sure. It's great to go to a restaurant or go to a store and buy some of these products. But being able to see the people behind them, put a face to that passion, like you said, is really so important. And you feel like you're even more so connected to the food, to the drink, whatever it might be.
And then the last pillar, obviously the diversity matters, but the events really are what stand out. because the diversity of the events, yes, but each one, whether it be the Celebrity Chef's Wine Dinner, Fire on the Lake, the Sunday Jazz Brunch, are really the three that kind of highlighting, or maybe learning something from the classes during that stretch. So that's really the pillars of each of them. The classes, the diversity of the classes, the Louisiana focus, and then the celebrity chefs and winemakers. And at the end of the day, you're going to be eating a lot, drinking a lot, and just having a really, really good time in what hopefully will be some really nice Louisiana weather at that time.
Exactly. And so the very first thing you need to do, here's your tips. The very first thing you need to do is buy tickets.
Tip 1.
Tip 1, buy your ticket, and buy your ticket now, because a lot of people, this is a really sought after event.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are buying tickets and there are a limited number. So you need to go online and purchase your tickets in advance. This is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event. And the earlier you arrive, the better. You know, coming for those Friday events, especially Saturday's event tasting, it's better to get in early on it. Make a long weekend out of it.
Sure. And they do a 30-minute check-in on those events, is what they're calling their pre-check advantage. So it's like 30 minutes before is when they kind of start opening the gates, getting you ready. So the second that the event starts, you're in.
You're in. You've already got everything you need. You've got your wine glass in hand, etc. You're ready to go.
And we're not saying, oh, arrive early and do these things just because we're told to tell you these things. That's not what we're doing here, because there are a limited number of tickets available.
Exactly.
Because each ticket gets souvenir glasses. And so there's a lot of those things that outside of their control beyond that, they can't just ticket people in.
You just don't want to miss it.
So
this is
if
your
you
chance.
are interested, getting it early matters, because you don't want them to not sell you a ticket.
Exactly.
And that is a realistic possibility of happening because there are limited numbers. So trust us when we tell you that. One of the big changes this year, last year ended up being a little hotter, I think, than what they wanted to.
It was toasty.
Yeah. So they have what they're going to be calling cooling down stations. Cooling lounges, actually, is going to be the name of what it is. So they want you to stay hydrated. There is free water there for all the guests, but there's new cooling lounges, which is a great place to grab your food, then go sit and cool down to eat if it ends up being a little warmer than what we'd love for it to be.
Yeah, we can't control the weather here, but Southwest Louisiana is relatively hot. And of course, while you're outside, you're having a good time. You're having a drink or two while you're out there. Sometimes suddenly you are
Pinky's
like,
out.
oh, I have been out in the sun for a very long time. So yeah, hydrate and cool down, please. We want everybody to be safe out there, but have a really good time as well.
And hydration, especially important with all the wine and different.
That's what I'm saying.
And
yeah,
different drinky drinks.
The drinky drinks, as what we refer to them as to our children. No, that's a drinky drink. Also, some new additions and even awards that are coming to the festival this year. So they've got the Rosé Love Garden, which focuses on different rosé wines, which I know is a favorite of mine.
And frosés.
Yeah,
your little frozen versions.
Rosés. Yeah, that's yummy.
Talk about keeping cool. You know that, and that's important.
That's a mommy slush, right?
Okay.
That's a that's an adult slushie.
Keep slinging. I'm listening.
Okay. It makes sense to me.
A mommy slush.
A mommy slush.
And there's also a change to the awards.
Yeah.
Last year, I think you kind of gave them to the booth, and so they're trying to simplify that process for people now. And there's actually a new barbecue category as well on the Friday event. But there's now an easy voting system. Use your phone, scan the QR code, and you make your vote like that.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot easier. You're not having to put something in, or it's a much easier way to vote.
And thank goodness barbecue category, because some of the barbecue last year, so good. I still think about it.
Yeah, and I think that's, for me, it's the best way to eat barbecue, because I kind of get into a spot where if I go to a barbecue restaurant, I'm leaving with a stomachache.
Sure, because you're trying to eat a little bite of everything.
And it has so much good fat and good oils, and it's so amazing. But I leave with a stomachache every time.
Yeah.
But at an event like this, where I'm sampling a bunch of different stuff, that's the best way, because I get the perfect bite. And then I'm like, all right, I don't need to keep going back and bugging them.
Yeah, you're not having to load up a tray with as much barbecue as you can, Brady Reynard. You are instead just grabbing some little tasters. And
I feel attacked.
You feel attacked. Well,
I'm reporting this. I see myself in this image.
okay. So, but also, okay. So let's talk about like the demo stages.
Okay.
Learning to cook, right? So when you come to these events, sometimes you automatically think like, well, this is way out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
I could never recreate these things, but there are different demo stations all around the area that these chefs are showing you how it's done.
And I'm calling this, remember smell-o-vision? You've heard of that, where you can smell what's being, like I don't know, it might have been a Looney Tunes stuff, but you've heard the term smell-o-vision, right?
Sure.
I'm calling this taste-o-vision.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's kind of like watching Food Network, except the worst part about watching Food Network is like, man, that looks good, but they're not handing me a sample through the TV.
I don't get to try it.
They do here. So the demo stage is going on. They'll give you the samples. The first 100 people each event will get the samples of what they're cooking. So you're getting to see them cook and prepare it, and then they hand you the tasty item that you've been watching them make. And that's a lot better than not getting that tasty item at the end. So I think it's a cool thing that they're doing with the Rouse's Market cooking demo stages.
Yeah. And all of the different booths that they've got set up, all of the people that come from all over the place to give you a sample of what they've got.
And it's very diverse too.
It really is.
From like pretty nice knick-knack things that you can have to food and to really specialty like liqueurs and liquors. And in fact, the one that caught my eye last year, and I know it did you as well, that Appalachian Sippin' Cream, the Tennessee-based company that came down.
Yes, this is like rum drinks,
rum-based cream liqueurs that they like say to pour over ice cream or pour in your coffee.
Or just drink it straight
put it over
it's
ice.
Delicious.
Unbelievable. They had like a pudding one.
They had like a banana Foster's, I think.
You liked the butter pecan?
Yes. So butter pecan or any of those that have like that caramel warm kind of feel to them. What he told me to do is use them as creamer in your coffee.
Yeah.
So a little spiked coffee.
So we found
situation.
So that's a new item now that we keep our eye on.
Yeah.
And we saw it last year at the Food and Wine Festival. And so that is something that I think probably will happen every year.
Yeah, you'll find something new.
We have tickets again this year. Like we made sure to get tickets to the same event again. So that tells you how much we enjoyed it.
I wanted the grand tasting because I wanted to be able to find these things, right? You want to go and like open your horizons. And I was tasting things, trying samples of things that I'd never eat anywhere.
Agreed.
Like I don't eat a lot of, I know it's blasphemous. I don't eat a lot of seafood.
No.
Not my lane, right? But I was trying everything that they handed me because like this is the opportunity to like, if you think you don't like something, set that aside for a day, try everything. And you might fall in love with some of these products or some of these chefs or these restaurants and have like a new favorite something.
Agreed. Yeah. I'm treating it like the Terminator. I'll be back and we will be back. All right. Musical entertainment. There's also a lot of fun on Friday. On Friday, we'll get the Zydeco performance from Horace Traha and his band. And then Saturday, our local stars, the Flamethrowers, will play during the
always
grand tasting
a
event.
hit.
Oh, they're
every
great.
event.
They're great.
Always a hit.
And I know a few, I know some of their members and their trip as well. So they're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And they really bring the fun when they're on stage.
They bring the party.
Sure.
If the food and the wine flowing and, beautiful look out on the lake, if all of that wasn't enough for you, you've also got some good tunes too.
And I want to, just real quick, because we're getting near kind of the end of this thing, I want to make sure that we talk about a couple of the events just to really give you a feel for it. I didn't get a chance to go to the Celebrity Chef's Wine Dinner last year. I did hear raving reviews about the different items brought and how it was prepared. And it's kind of food sensory overload. There's so much that you get to see and do while seated there and getting to talk about. Fire on the Lake is kind of similar to the grand tasting. It's different because it's a cochon de lait at the end of the day, which means they're roasting that pig and they're having kind of a different party. So it's a different party, but it's still a very food-based party where you kind of bounce around to the different stations. And the master classes at Sewella, they've actually expanded the listing this year. I believe there's 4 of them. There were only 2 a year ago. So they saw it and they said, all right, this is something we can expand. And so these master classes are really a lot of fun. There's 4 of them this year where you're learning from maybe a sommelier in some instances, chefs, owners of restaurants that have really made a mark in the culinary industry. Stuff like the perfect wine and oyster pairings. There's an art of making Southern style collard greens with celebrity chef Gennard Wells. They talk about making fresh sushi and what really stands out about how to use like yellowfin tuna and different things like that. And then a Creole soiree is the last one. So what they do is they break down certain items and really allows you to see how they're prepared, what's important. And the biggest thing is that because it's a master class, they're working, but you just ask questions whenever. So you can ask, do you use this sausage? What is important about browning the meat here? What's the mallet reaction that happens when X, Y, or Z happen? You can ask about why they're doing certain things, and you're getting one-on-one time with a chef that you usually would never have the opportunity to ask these questions to.
Yeah, it opens up a whole new opportunity for you, new experience.
For sure. And so I would definitely say the master classes, if you're interested in cooking, it's really cool. And then you're obviously getting to eat that food as they make it too. And they're giving you wine while you're there. And so it's really you talk about making a weekend out of it. Like this is, if you're a very foodie, if you're a food centric person, if you're a foodie, if you're a wino, this is such an amazing event because each event kind of caters to a different portion of it. And then, like we said, the grand tasting, so much fun. They have everything laid out, all these booths and tents. You walk by, get what you want. They give you a glass, so you kind of keep that glass full the whole time. You're eating a bunch. The conversation's amazing. And then you kind of see at the end, all the chefs that you've been eating, you've kind of been voting, and then you kind of see where they get ranked by the judges and then the people. It really is a whole lot of fun.
And that weekend, so at the outside booth events, you cannot miss this. The United Way of Southwest Louisiana hosts a wine and whiskey pool. So basically you're pulling blind from a paper bag, right? Blind from a paper bag. You're pulling out something and you win wine or whiskey. And it's some really great bottles of wine or spirits you can take home and enjoy from the event. Have as a souvenir.
Yeah. And the best part is you're kind of donating to a great cause, the United Way of Southwest Louisiana. So it's a win-win situation at the end of the day. And it's kind of fun, especially if you're really a lover of wine and whiskey there. And so, yeah, those are really our key takeaways and the tips for what we experienced last year and some of the best ways to do it. If you say choose one of it to go to, I would say probably the Cochon de Lait on Friday or the grand tasting on Saturday is the one event that I feel like you need to go. But man,
it's really hard to say because, it's whatever fits your lifestyle a little bit better.
Yep.
We've got young kids that we need babysitters for. So for us, it's Saturday, break away for a couple of hours, go hang out. It's in the daylight. It's gorgeous out there on the lake. So that just works better for us. But, if you're wanting to make kind of a date night out of it and maybe have that kind of experience, maybe Fire on the Lake is for you that Friday night. Mm-hmm. It's one of those really it's a whole package of events, right, for the weekend, but you get to kind of choose your adventure, if you will. And so there's just a lot that goes on. And here's the other tips, because I know we talked about it being warm, right? Don't let that discourage you from going. It's warm in Louisiana. That's just part of it. Dress accordingly. And I wasn't kidding about not wearing heels. I know a lot of people want to dress up for events like this, but part of this is, walkable, like on concrete, but a lot of it is in the grass. Mm-hmm. So you just want to dress accordingly and be able to move about because it is so expansive. It's a huge area of the lakefront property down here in downtown Lake Charles, that a little bit of everything. So you want to be able to walk around and get to see it all. And you might buy some stuff while you're there, just saying,
and the vendors will keep them for you. If you do buy something, your vendor will hold on to it until the end of the event.
That's really good to know. Because I was going to say, otherwise you may want to bring, a large purse with you,
but they will hold on to it.
That's good to know.
That is something we've confirmed.
I think I walked around with Appalachian sipping cream for like an hour, holding on to it. But I didn't want to let it go. It was good. But just all good things to keep in mind.
And last year we did meet a couple from Chicago.
Sure did.
That came down. So it was awesome to see just how far in our inaugural event things stretched. So
Yeah.
you might meet some people from all over the U.S. that are coming wanting to enjoy, and they were having a blast.
Yeah.
And so it's fun to see that and see other people kind of take part in a little bit of our culture in a cool way. And so we can't encourage you enough to come in and at least enjoy one of the events.
And that particular couple and others we met while we were there, they said that they travel the U.S. a lot and go to similar events in other communities. And they heard about what, like Charles had to offer at Louisiana Food and Wine Festival and, thought, okay, well, it's year one. Like we'll see how it goes. And they said this competed quite well with other festivals that are happening all over the country that are really similar. So kudos to all those who organize it, especially in year one. We know this year is going to be even better, more experiences, more food, more wine, really a fun adventure for the weekend.
I agree. And so we just want to thank you for taking time to talk to us today. And please, if you went last year, tell us what your experiences were. What are your thoughts? And if you're going this year, let us know. I'd love to kind of share it and talk about it as well. Because, we're excited for it, and it was a heck of a lot of fun. So thank you again for joining us and listening to us here on the podcast. If you enjoyed it, please also follow the podcast if you're not already. Leave us a rating or review. Find a place to comment. Comment on our YouTube, on our Facebook. We love the interaction, and we love a chance to interact with you and let us know maybe things you want to see, things that you've heard, things that are funny. If you want to make fun of me or Jill, that's fine too. We can take it.
Whoa.
We can take it.
Be nice. We can take it. But of course, that feedback really helps us know what you want from this podcast, and we can better deliver and show you and share the unique experiences that Lake Charles and Southwest Louisiana has to offer, like the Louisiana Food Wine Festival. So go to visit lakecharles.org/podcast for more episodes, advice on where to eat, and events that are happening this weekend. I'm Jillian Corder.
And I'm Brady Raynard. Thanks again for coming to play at Louisiana's Playground. Say it to you.